Hello, and welcome to the Book Lounge. Let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why some people seem unstoppable in the face of challenges while others give up at the first sign of difficulty? What is it that sets apart the truly successful from those who fall short? Not talent, not luck, but something deeper. Today, we're unpacking the secrets behind one of the most powerful human traits, grit. Angela Duckworth's best-selling book, Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance, will challenge the way you think about achievement, success, and what it really takes to thrive in any area of life. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with actionable insights that could transform your mindset. Whether you're chasing a big dream, building a career, or simply looking to push past limits you didn't think you could overcome. So, grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's uncover how passion and perseverance can shape your destiny. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Chapter 1, Showing Up. Chapter 1 of Grit begins with a striking revelation. Talent, while often celebrated, is not the defining ingredient of success. Instead, it's the willingness to show up again and again, despite obstacles and setbacks, that truly matters. The chapter introduces the concept of grit, a combination of passion and perseverance that drives individuals to achieve their long-term goals. The foundation of grit lies not in flashy brilliance, but in the quiet, determined resolve to keep going when others give up. Through vivid storytelling and examples, the chapter debunks the common myth that success is reserved for the innately gifted. Instead, it emphasizes that consistently showing up, even when the work is hard, monotonous, or unglamorous, is the secret weapon of high achievers. This mindset is what separates those who merely dream from those who achieve. One of the chapter's most compelling insights is that our culture often overemphasizes talent while undervaluing effort. We celebrate prodigies and natural-born geniuses, but we rarely see the behind-the-scenes struggle and persistence that actually drive achievement. The result is a misleading narrative that can discourage those who don't see themselves as naturally gifted. This misconception, the chapter argues, undermines the power of effort, a force that, when coupled with passion, can lead to extraordinary outcomes. To illustrate this, the chapter shares stories of people from various walks of life, scientists, athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs, who have achieved remarkable success not because they were the most talented, but because they showed up every day, committed to mastering their craft. Their secret wasn't an innate brilliance, but an unwavering determination to stick with their goals, even when progress seemed slow. The chapter also highlights how grit is not a one-time burst of energy. It's a sustained effort over the long haul. It's the ability to stay committed to something meaningful, even when the initial excitement fades or when setbacks arise. This focus on long-term commitment sets gritty individuals apart from those who get sidetracked by distractions or give up when things get tough. Importantly, the chapter challenges readers to reflect on their own relationship with effort. Are you someone who shows up when it's easy, but retreats when it's hard? Or are you willing to persevere, even when the rewards aren't immediate? This introspection helps readers understand that grit is not a fixed trait. It's something that can be cultivated and strengthened over time. The chapter concludes with a powerful call to action. Showing up is half the battle, but it's the willingness to keep showing up day after day that makes the real difference. By valuing effort as much as talent and committing to long-term goals, anyone can begin to cultivate grit in their own lives. In essence, Chapter 1 lays the groundwork for the rest of the book by shifting the narrative around success. It argues that grit, more than talent or luck, is what empowers people to achieve their fullest potential. And at the heart of grit is the simple, yet transformative act of showing up, again and again, no matter how hard the road may seem. Chapter 2, Distracted by Talent. Chapter 2 challenges one of the most pervasive and misleading beliefs in society, the obsession with talent. It reveals how this focus on natural ability blinds us to the true drivers of success: effort, hard work, and determination. We live in a world that idolizes prodigies and born geniuses, but this chapter makes a compelling case that talent, while useful, is vastly overrated. The chapter's key message is clear. Our fixation on talent often causes us to overlook the far more significant role of perseverance and practice in achieving greatness. The chapter begins by exploring how society equates exceptional performance with innate ability. Whether it's in academics, sports, or the arts, people love to attribute success to an elusive gift rather than years of unseen effort. This mindset, the chapter argues, is dangerous because it discourages those who don't perceive themselves as naturally gifted. It creates a false dichotomy, those who have talent and those who don't, when, in reality, hard work is the great equalizer. To drive this point home, the chapter shares a striking anecdote about a teacher who instinctively labels some students as naturally talented, while overlooking others who may have greater potential through effort. This bias isn't just harmful, it's self-fulfilling. When we assume someone is talented, we often invest more time and attention in them, furthering their progress, while unintentionally neglecting those who may have the grit to succeed if given the chance. The chapter also introduces a powerful formula. Skill equals talent x effort. Achievement equals skill x effort. This equation highlights a profound truth. While talent might give someone an early advantage, it's effort that amplifies skill and transforms it into meaningful achievement. Effort, in fact, counts twice. This idea is central to understanding why focusing solely on talent is not only misleading, but also detrimental to personal growth and societal progress. Another crucial insight from the chapter is that talent can sometimes become a trap. People who are naturally gifted often rely too heavily on their abilities, neglecting the hard work and persistence required to reach their full potential. On the other hand, those who are less gifted but more determined are often willing to put in the extra hours to master their craft. Over time, the determined outperform the naturally talented because they keep showing up, putting in the work, and improving step by step. The chapter also touches on how the talent bias can affect hiring, education, and even relationships. Employers often look for star performers with impressive credentials, while overlooking those who may have the resilience to learn, grow, and ultimately excel. This cultural bias towards talent reinforces a toxic narrative that discourages the majority of people from pursuing their dreams, simply because they don't believe they're naturally gifted. In its closing, the chapter shifts the focus back to the reader, encouraging them to reconsider their own mindset about talent and effort. Are you holding yourself back because you believe you lack some innate ability? Are you undervaluing the power of showing up, putting in the hours, and sticking with your goals? Chapter 2 invites us to dismantle the myth of talent and instead celebrate the transformative power of effort. It's a reminder that greatness is not reserved for the chosen few. It's within reach for anyone willing to put in the work. Chapter 3, Effort Counts Twice. Chapter 3 unveils one of the most empowering ideas in the book. Effort is the true multiplier in the equation of success. It isn't just important, it's the force that transforms raw talent into skill and skill into achievement. While many people cling to the idea that talent is the ultimate predictor of greatness, this chapter proves that effort is what truly separates high achievers from the rest. The chapter introduces a thought-provoking formula to illustrate this. Skill equals talent x effort. Achievement equals skill x effort. This equation reveals something profound. First, effort is what takes talent, the innate ability to do something, and turns it into skill through consistent practice and learning. Second, effort is what allows that skill to translate into meaningful results. In short, effort counts twice, once to develop skill and again to apply it toward real-world achievements. This perspective flips the traditional narrative about success. Talent, while useful, is just a starting point. Without effort, talent remains untapped potential. Conversely, even individuals with modest natural ability can rise to extraordinary heights if they're willing to work harder and longer than anyone else. The chapter presents real-world examples of this principle. It tells the story of Olympic athletes, elite musicians, and successful entrepreneurs who may not have been the most naturally gifted in their field, but who outworked everyone around them. These individuals built their success brick by brick, 1 hour of effort at a time. Their achievements weren't born of magic or luck. They were the result of deliberate, sustained effort over years. One of the chapter's most striking insights is that people often overestimate the role of talent because they don't see the hard work happening behind the scenes. We admire a pianist's flawless performance or a CEO's visionary leadership, but we rarely witness the countless hours of practice, failure, and learning that made those moments possible. This invisible effort reinforces the myth of talent while undervaluing the grinding determination required to excel. The chapter also highlights how effort reshapes our brains and our abilities over time. Neuroscience shows that consistent practice strengthens neural pathways, making skills easier and more natural the more they're repeated. This means that anyone, regardless of where they start, can improve dramatically if they're willing to put in the time and stay committed. Another key theme in this chapter is the importance of perseverance. Developing skill or achieving mastery isn't a quick process. It requires years of showing up, even when progress feels slow. This is where grit comes into play. It's not just about trying hard once or twice, but about sustaining that effort over the long haul. The chapter also challenges readers to examine their own beliefs about effort. Do you believe your potential is capped by your natural abilities? Or do you see effort as the bridge between where you are and where you want to be? By shifting focus from innate talent to sustained effort, the chapter empowers readers to take control of their growth and achievements. The chapter concludes with an energizing takeaway. Effort is the great equalizer. It's not a matter of being born talented or lucky. It's about committing to the work required to turn your dreams into reality. If you're willing to show up, keep going, and embrace the process, you can accomplish far more than you ever thought possible. Effort doesn't just count twice. It defines the path to greatness. Chapter 4. How gritty are you? Chapter 4 invites readers to take a closer look at their own levels of grit and offers a fascinating way to assess their passion and perseverance. It introduces the concept of a grit scale, a tool designed to measure how committed you are to your long-term goals and how well you persevere through challenges. This chapter is not just a reflection exercise. It's a powerful wake-up call to evaluate how much grit you bring to the table and what areas of your mindset may need improvement. The grit scale itself is straightforward yet thought-provoking. It asks readers to rate themselves on statements like, "I finish whatever I begin," and "I am diligent. I never give up." This self-assessment reveals how consistent and resilient you are in pursuit of your goals. But the scale is more than just a number. It serves as a mirror, reflecting whether you tend to quit when things get tough or whether you push through when faced with difficulties. What makes this chapter compelling is its exploration of how grit manifests differently in people. Some may have a high degree of perseverance, but struggle with staying passionate about a single goal for a long time, jumping from one project to another. Others may have strong passion, but falter when the road gets rocky. The chapter emphasizes that true grit is a balance of both, an unwavering passion for your goals, paired with the determination to stick with them, no matter how challenging the journey becomes. Through engaging examples and anecdotes, the chapter highlights how grit can look different depending on the individual's circumstances and goals. Whether you're an artist, athlete, or entrepreneur, grit doesn't necessarily mean working nonstop or burning out. It means staying aligned with what truly matters to you and refusing to abandon your dreams when progress slows. A fascinating insight from the chapter is that grit isn't necessarily fixed. It can be cultivated and strengthened over time. While some people might naturally score higher on the grit scale due to their upbringing or environment, anyone can develop more grit by building habits of resilience, practicing self-discipline, and staying deeply connected to their purpose. This revelation is empowering because it shifts the focus from whether or not you're naturally gritty to what steps you can take to grow in passion and perseverance. Another key takeaway is that grit often requires a shift in mindset. Many people give up on their goals because they expect quick results or believe that failure is a sign they're not cut out for something. This chapter encourages readers to view setbacks as opportunities to grow and refine their approach, rather than as barriers to success. Are you pursuing something you truly care about? Grit doesn't flourish in shallow or fleeting interests. It thrives when you're deeply passionate about your goals and willing to work tirelessly for them. This connection to purpose is what sustains grit over the long haul. even when the journey is filled with obstacles. Chapter 4 leaves readers with a powerful question. How gritty are you? But it doesn't stop there. It pushes you to consider how you can develop more grit in your life. It's not about perfection or immediate results. It's about showing up consistently, staying focused on your goals, and committing to the long game. Grit isn't just a personality trait. It's a mindset you can nurture. And this chapter serves as a roadmap for doing exactly that. Chapter 5, Grit Grows. Chapter 5 delivers an empowering message. Grit is not something you're simply born with. It can grow and evolve over time. The chapter dives deep into the factors that shape grit, showing how it is influenced by our experiences, environment, and choices. This isn't just a lesson in self-development. It's a call to action to actively cultivate grit in ourselves and encourage it in others. The chapter begins by dispelling the myth that grit is a fixed personality trait. Instead, grit is dynamic, shaped by our upbringing, the challenges we face, and the way we respond to them. While some people may seem naturally grittier than others, the chapter emphasizes that grit is malleable. It's a quality anyone can develop and strengthen with intention and effort. The development of grit, the chapter explains, is influenced by 4 key psychological assets: interest, practice, purpose, and hope. Each of these elements plays a crucial role in fostering passion and perseverance over the long term. 1. Interest. Grit begins with having a deep and enduring interest in something. Passion cannot be forced. It must be cultivated through exploration and curiosity. The chapter highlights the importance of finding what truly excites and motivates you, those pursuits that make you lose track of time and feel energized. This initial spark of interest lays the foundation for the long-term commitment that grit requires. 2. Practice. Interest alone is not enough to sustain grit. The chapter emphasizes the value of deliberate practice, putting in focused, purposeful effort to continuously improve. This isn't about mindlessly repeating the same actions. It's about challenging yourself, stepping out of your comfort zone, and embracing the hard, often tedious work of mastery. Those with grit don't shy away from the grind. They see it as an essential part of growth. 3. Purpose. The chapter underscores the importance of connecting your passion to a greater purpose. It's not just about personal fulfillment. It's about contributing to something larger than yourself. Purpose fuels grit by giving meaning to the struggles and sacrifices along the way. Whether it's helping others, advancing knowledge, or creating something meaningful, having a purpose keeps you anchored and motivated, even when the road gets tough. 4. Hope. Finally, hope is what sustains grit in the face of adversity. It's the belief that no matter how challenging the journey, things can and will get better with effort and persistence. Hope isn't passive optimism. It's an active determination to rise after every fall. The grittiest individuals cultivate a mindset of resilience, learning from failures and using setbacks as fuel to move forward. The chapter also explores how grit can grow in different stages of life. For children and adolescents, it often begins with supportive parents, teachers, and mentors who encourage exploration and effort. A nurturing environment helps young people discover their passions and build confidence in their ability to persevere. For adults, grit often develops through life experiences, especially those that challenge them to overcome obstacles and stay committed to long-term goals. Interestingly, the chapter emphasizes the role of failure in growing grit. Failure, when embraced as a learning opportunity rather than a dead end, becomes a powerful teacher. The ability to push through disappointment, reflect on mistakes, and keep going is a hallmark of gritty individuals. The chapter also offers practical advice for anyone looking to grow their grit. First, it encourages readers to pursue interests that genuinely excite them, rather than following external expectations or trends. Second, it stresses the importance of creating a structure for deliberate practice, setting specific goals, tracking progress, and seeking feedback. Third, it invites readers to reflect on how their work aligns with their larger purpose, ensuring that their efforts feel meaningful. Finally, it highlights the value of fostering a hopeful mindset by focusing on what can be controlled and taking proactive steps to overcome challenges. Chapter 5 is a powerful reminder that grit is not an exclusive trait reserved for the lucky few. It's an evolving quality that can be nurtured with time, effort, and intention. Whether you're just beginning your journey or deep in the pursuit of a goal, this chapter inspires you to believe in your capacity to grow, adapt, and persevere. Grit grows, and so can you. Chapter 6. Interest. Chapter 6 is a celebration of the profound importance of interest as the foundation of passion and grit. It argues that passion, the driving force behind sustained effort, must begin with a genuine, authentic interest in what you do. Without this spark, perseverance becomes a struggle, and grit cannot take root. The chapter delves into how people discover their interests, nurture them over time, and use them as a compass to guide their long-term goals. The chapter begins by emphasizing that passion is not something you can force. It must be discovered through curiosity and exploration. True interest often feels effortless. It pulls you in, captivates your attention, and makes time fly. While it may seem like some people are born knowing what they love, the reality is that most interests are developed gradually through exposure to different experiences. The key is to be open to trying new things, paying attention to what excites you, and being patient as your passions unfold. A compelling insight from this chapter is the idea that interests are discovered, not chosen. You don't decide one day to be passionate about art, science, or entrepreneurship. Instead, you stumble upon these interests through activities that spark curiosity and enjoyment. It's a process of trial and error, of following small sparks until they grow into a flame. The chapter encourages readers to embrace this journey and view it as an adventure rather than a burden. However, discovering an interest is just the beginning. The chapter explains that nurturing an interest requires time, attention, and effort. Many people give up too soon, expecting passion to feel exciting all the time, or assuming that the first setback means it's not the right path. But true passion isn't born overnight. It deepens and matures as you invest in it. This requires patience, as well as a willingness to work through the less glamorous aspects of any pursuit. The chapter also challenges the misconception that passion must come pre-packaged as a perfect fit. People often romanticize the idea of discovering their one true calling. But the truth is that interests evolve. What begins as a casual curiosity can grow into a lifelong passion if nurtured with care and commitment. Likewise, the things that captivate you today may shift and transform over time. The key is to stay engaged with the process and allow your interests to guide you. A significant point the chapter makes is that interests thrive in supportive environments. Parents, teachers, and mentors play a crucial role in helping young people explore different opportunities and encouraging them to pursue what excites them. For adults, having a network of like-minded peers or mentors can provide the inspiration and accountability needed to stay connected to their passions. The chapter also explores the role of autonomy in fostering interest. People are far more likely to develop a deep connection to something when they feel free to pursue it on their own terms. Being forced or pressured into an activity rarely leads to sustained passion. Instead, interest flourishes when it is driven by intrinsic motivation, a genuine desire to engage with the subject for its own sake, rather than for external rewards or recognition. Another crucial insight is that interest and passion are not free from effort. Even when you love something, there will be moments of frustration, boredom, or doubt. The chapter emphasizes that those who persevere through these challenges are the ones who reap the rewards of long-term fulfillment. Passion is not about constant excitement. It's about staying committed to what matters, even when the initial spark fades. The chapter concludes with a powerful takeaway. Interest is the seed of grit, but it requires time and care to grow. Whether you're exploring new pursuits or deepening an existing passion, the journey is just as important as the destination. It's not about finding a single perfect interest. It's about following your curiosity, embracing the process, and allowing your passions to unfold naturally. Interest lays the foundation for the grit needed to achieve greatness, and it's a reminder that what you love can guide you to who you're meant to become. Chapter 7. Chapter 7 shines a light on the transformative power of deliberate practice, a cornerstone of grit that propels people toward mastery. This chapter goes beyond the common understanding of practice as mere repetition, unveiling the disciplined and intentional effort required to improve and excel in any domain. It's a roadmap for turning passion into progress, underscoring the idea that greatness is built on the foundation of purposeful, persistent work. The chapter begins by making a crucial distinction between ordinary practice and deliberate practice. Ordinary practice involves doing something repeatedly without a clear focus on improvement. It's the kind of practice that can plateau your growth. Deliberate practice, on the other hand, is strategic and goal-oriented. It involves setting specific objectives, identifying weaknesses, and relentlessly working to overcome them. This approach, while challenging and sometimes tedious, is the key to unlocking true potential. The chapter introduces the concept of the learning zone versus the performance zone. The learning zone is where growth happens. It's the space where you focus on what you don't yet know or can't yet do. It's marked by trial, error, and struggle as you stretch beyond your current abilities. Conversely, the performance zone is where you execute what you already know, such as playing a recital or delivering a presentation. While the performance zone is important for showcasing skills, true progress happens when you deliberately step into the learning zone. This requires humility, patience, and a willingness to fail, all of which are hallmarks of grit. One of the chapter's most insightful points is the emphasis on the importance of feedback in deliberate practice. Improvement doesn't happen in a vacuum. It requires honest, constructive input from mentors, coaches, or even peers who can identify areas for growth. However, the chapter also highlights that feedback alone isn't enough. What matters is how you act on it. The grittiest individuals view feedback not as criticism, but as a valuable tool to refine their craft. The chapter dives into the psychological challenges of deliberate practice. Unlike casual practice, it is mentally demanding and often uncomfortable. Focusing intently on your weaknesses, repeating tasks to near perfection, and confronting your limits day after day requires incredible perseverance. It's easy to grow frustrated or discouraged, but the chapter reminds us that this discomfort is a sign of growth. Those who embrace this discomfort and push through the monotony of deliberate practice are the ones who achieve the extraordinary. The chapter also discusses the role of structure in deliberate practice. Great performers don't simply wing it during practice sessions. They create a plan. They break down their goals into smaller, manageable tasks, set aside dedicated time to focus on improvement, and track their progress over time. This systematic approach ensures that their efforts are targeted and efficient, maximizing their potential for growth. Equally important is the idea of consistency. The chapter argues that sporadic bursts of effort are far less effective than regular, sustained practice over time. Gritty individuals make practice a habit, integrating it into their daily routines and prioritizing it even when motivation wanes. This consistency, fueled by their deep passion and commitment, compounds over time, leading to remarkable results. The chapter doesn't shy away from the reality that deliberate practice is hard work. It requires mental toughness to push through setbacks and stay focused on incremental improvements rather than instant gratification. But it also emphasizes the incredible rewards of this effort, the satisfaction of mastering a skill, the confidence that comes from overcoming challenges, and the pride of knowing that your success is the result of your own perseverance. Ultimately, the chapter serves as a powerful reminder that talent alone is never enough. It's the work you put in, day after day, year after year, that truly sets you apart. Deliberate practice isn't glamorous, but it is the secret weapon of the gritty. It teaches us that greatness is within reach, not because it's handed to us, but because we earn it through unwavering effort and focused discipline. Chapter 7 challenges readers to examine how they approach practice in their own lives. Are you coasting in your comfort zone, or are you deliberately working to grow? It inspires action, urging you to take control of your development and embrace the hard, unrelenting work of improvement. In the end, it's not just about what you practice. It's about how you practice that determines whether you reach your full potential. Chapter 8, Purpose. Chapter 8 illuminates the transformative power of purpose as a driving force behind grit. While passion ignites the spark and practice refines the craft, purpose gives grit its soul. This chapter delves into how purpose, the conviction that your work contributes to something larger than yourself, provides meaning, sustains motivation, and deepens resilience during life's inevitable challenges. The chapter begins by exploring the nature of purpose and why it's a critical component of sustained perseverance. Purpose transforms personal ambition into something more profound and enduring. It's not just about achieving goals for personal gain, it's about contributing to others, solving problems, or improving the world in some way. People who feel connected to a higher purpose are more likely to persevere because their efforts feel deeply meaningful. Purpose fuels the grit to endure difficulties and keep striving, not just for oneself, but for the benefit of others. The chapter highlights that purpose doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It can manifest in small, everyday actions that align with your values and positively impact others. For a teacher, it may be helping students unlock their potential. For an entrepreneur, it may be building a product that simplifies people's lives. Regardless of its scale, purpose acts as a powerful motivator, providing a reason to keep going, even when the path becomes steep. One of the key insights is that purpose is often discovered through self-reflection, experimentation, and connection with others. Many people don't start their journey with a clear sense of purpose. It evolves over time as they pursue their interests, engage with their communities, and pay attention to what moves them. The chapter encourages readers to actively seek out opportunities to connect their work with a larger mission, reminding them that purpose often lies at the intersection of their passions and the needs of the world. The chapter also examines how people develop a sense of purpose. It highlights the importance of role models, individuals who demonstrate what it looks like to live with purpose and show how meaningful work can positively impact others. These role models, whether parents, mentors, or colleagues, help instill a belief that what we do matters and that we can make a difference through our actions. Another way to cultivate purpose is by nurturing empathy and gratitude. When we take the time to understand the needs of others and appreciate the impact we can have on their lives, it becomes easier to see our work as meaningful. For example, a doctor may feel a deeper sense of purpose, not just by treating patients, but by recognizing the ripple effect their health improvements have on families and communities. The chapter underscores that purpose isn't just a lofty ideal, it's also a practical tool for perseverance. When we connect our work to a larger mission, setbacks and obstacles become more bearable. Purpose acts as a shield against discouragement, reminding us why we started in the first place. It reframes challenges as opportunities to grow and serve, making it easier to maintain momentum even in difficult times. A compelling point in the chapter is the symbiotic relationship between passion and purpose. While passion is about what excites and energizes you personally, purpose broadens your perspective and gives your work significance beyond yourself. Together, they create a powerful foundation for grit, ensuring that your efforts are not only sustained, but deeply fulfilling. The chapter also highlights practical steps to integrate purpose into daily life. It encourages readers to regularly reflect on how their work aligns with their values and serves others. Writing down or verbalizing the impact of your actions can help reinforce a sense of purpose. Additionally, seeking out opportunities to mentor, teach, or collaborate with others can create a stronger connection between your efforts and the greater good. Chapter 8 serves as a reminder that purpose is not just a motivator, it's a source of resilience and fulfillment. It transforms grit from sheer determination into something more profound, helping us stay grounded and focused on what truly matters. With purpose, every effort becomes meaningful, every struggle worthwhile, and every success a contribution to something greater. The chapter leaves a lasting impression. When you work with purpose, your grit is no longer just about achieving. It's about creating a positive legacy that extends far beyond yourself. Chapter 9, Hope. In Chapter 9, the concept of hope takes center stage as a critical component in the development and maintenance of grit. Hope, in this context, is not just wishful thinking or blind optimism, but a dynamic belief in the ability to overcome obstacles and achieve goals through effort and perseverance. This chapter explores how hope acts as a catalyst for gritty behavior, giving individuals the resilience they need to endure failures, setbacks, and challenges on the long path to success. The chapter begins by defining hope as the belief that the future can be better than the present and that you have the power to make it so. Unlike fleeting motivation, which may come and go, hope is a long-term mindset that encourages people to take the necessary steps to improve their situation. It's the idea that no matter how difficult the journey gets, the effort you put in will eventually lead to progress and ultimately to success. This belief doesn't guarantee smooth sailing, but it provides the mental fortitude to keep going when things seem tough. One of the key insights in this chapter is the idea that hope is built on two pillars. The first is the belief that you can improve with effort, and the second is the belief that your efforts will eventually lead to progress. In other words, hope is not just about thinking things will get better. It's about believing that your actions, no matter how small, will bring you closer to your goals. This mindset enables people to persist through failure and remain committed to long-term goals, even when immediate results are not evident. The chapter also explores how hope is linked to a sense of agency. When people feel empowered to take control of their circumstances and have the tools to change their situation, their hope thrives. Without agency, hope can feel like an empty promise. The key is to take consistent, actionable steps towards your goals. Even small, incremental improvements can serve as evidence that progress is being made, reinforcing the belief that future success is possible. Another compelling point is that hope, much like grit, is not an innate trait, but a skill that can be developed. The chapter emphasizes that hope can be cultivated through practice, just like any other quality tied to personal development. One of the most effective ways to grow hope is to practice learning from setbacks. Rather than seeing failure as a permanent roadblock, individuals who are hopeful view it as a temporary challenge to overcome. This optimistic but realistic mindset allows them to stay motivated and confident that they can improve through effort, even when facing adversity. The chapter also highlights the role of hope in creating a cycle of positive feedback. When you believe that effort leads to success, you are more likely to persist through challenges. And the more you persist, the more you learn and grow. As you see improvement, no matter how small, it reinforces your belief in your ability to succeed, fueling your hope further. This cycle not only enhances your ability to succeed, but also strengthens your grit, making you more resilient in the face of future obstacles. One of the most powerful lessons in this chapter is the idea that hope is essential for bouncing back from failure. Hope isn't about avoiding failure. It's about using it as a stepping stone for growth. People who are hopeful embrace failure as a part of the learning process, knowing that each setback provides valuable lessons that will help them improve. This mindset enables them to persevere in the face of adversity, making them more likely to achieve their long-term goals. The chapter concludes with a reminder that hope is a dynamic, evolving force. It's not a passive state of mind, but an active, deliberate practice of believing in your ability to improve and making the efforts necessary to achieve your goals. By maintaining hope, individuals create the mental and emotional resilience needed to stay the course, no matter how challenging the journey becomes. In the end, Chapter 9 teaches that hope is the quiet force that sustains us through hard times. It empowers us to keep moving forward, even when success feels distant. With hope, we build the mental resilience necessary to face obstacles, and we learn that, with enough effort and perseverance, the future can indeed be better than the present. Chapter 10, Parenting for Grit. In Chapter 10, the focus shifts to how parents can foster grit in their children. The chapter underscores that while talent may provide a head start, it is grit, the combination of passion and perseverance, that ultimately determines success. This chapter delves into how parents can cultivate this invaluable quality in the next generation, providing actionable strategies for raising children who are resilient, focused, and passionate about their pursuits. The chapter begins by debunking the myth of the perfect child. Instead of pushing for instant success or immediate brilliance, the chapter advocates for a more sustainable approach, nurturing a child's long-term passion and commitment. Parents are encouraged to create an environment where perseverance is celebrated over talent. It's the understanding that grit, more than innate ability, will carry a child through challenges, setbacks, and even failure. One key concept introduced in the chapter is the importance of effort praise. Research shows that when children are praised for their effort rather than their innate intelligence or talent, they are more likely to develop a growth mindset, a belief that abilities can be cultivated through hard work. This mindset encourages children to embrace challenges, take risks, and persist through difficulties. The chapter makes a compelling case for why praising effort over ability sets children on a path toward grit and long-term success. Equally important is the idea of modeling grit as a parent. Children are keen observers, and they often mirror the behaviors of those around them, especially their parents. The chapter emphasizes that parents must model resilience and perseverance by displaying these traits in their own lives. Children need to see their parents working through challenges, handling setbacks with composure, and persevering in the pursuit of their own goals. This kind of behavior sends a powerful message that grit is a learnable trait, not an innate gift. The chapter also explores the idea of passion finding, which is about helping children discover what they are genuinely passionate about. Rather than forcing children into predefined molds or pushing them into activities they have no interest in, parents are encouraged to expose their children to a variety of experiences and allow them to explore different interests. This approach helps children develop a deeper sense of ownership over their passions, making it more likely that they will persist and work hard to develop their skills. Additionally, the concept of parental encouragement plays a central role in fostering grit. This isn't about demanding perfection or imposing rigid expectations. Rather, it's about encouraging effort and resilience. Parents are advised to engage in conversations with their children about their goals, challenges, and setbacks. This dialogue not only helps children build resilience, but also allows parents to provide guidance when their children encounter obstacles. Encouragement from parents who show belief in their child's abilities can be the spark that propels a child through difficult times. One of the most insightful parts of the chapter focuses on how parents can help their children cope with failure. It suggests that instead of protecting children from failure, parents should view it as an essential learning experience. Children should be taught that failure is not something to fear, but a stepping stone to growth. By reframing failure as an opportunity for learning, parents help their children build emotional resilience, enabling them to bounce back from setbacks with greater determination. The chapter also touches on the power of having a gritty environment. Parents are encouraged to create homes and communities where effort, persistence, and resilience are consistently valued. This can include setting high standards, providing opportunities for children to take on challenges, and fostering an atmosphere of support where children feel safe to try and fail. The key takeaway from the chapter is that grit can be nurtured in children through intentional parenting practices. It's not about placing unrealistic expectations on children or pushing them into high-pressure environments, but rather providing them with the tools, encouragement, and mindset to tackle challenges and persevere. Parents have the power to instill in their children the belief that success comes from sustained effort, passion, and resilience. Ultimately, Chapter 10 shows that grit is not just something children are born with. It is something that can be cultivated, nurtured, and passed down from generation to generation. By modeling grit, praising effort, and encouraging persistence, parents can equip their children with the resilience and perseverance needed to face life's challenges head-on, ultimately setting them up for success in whatever path they choose to follow. Chapter 11, The Playing Fields of Grit. In Chapter 11, the concept of grit is examined through the lens of sports and extracurricular activities. The chapter illustrates how environments like competitive sports or intense hobbies serve as the playing fields where grit is both tested and developed. It emphasizes that, rather than being a product of raw talent, true success in these domains is achieved through perseverance, commitment, and the ability to push through adversity. This chapter highlights that the lessons learned in these arenas, lessons of discipline, resilience, and effort can extend far beyond the playing field into every aspect of life. The chapter begins by exploring how sports are the perfect training ground for grit. Whether it's the countless hours of practice, the highs and lows of winning and losing, or the sheer determination required to improve, sports provide real-world scenarios where perseverance and passion are paramount. These environments cultivate resilience, teaching participants to continue when the going gets tough and to stay focused on long-term goals despite short-term setbacks. A key insight from this chapter is that grit develops best when individuals are deeply committed to something they care about. Success in sports or other activities doesn't come from natural talent alone. It comes from the willingness to practice consistently, face adversity, and work through the discomfort of improvement. The chapter emphasizes that in competitive sports, as in life, failure and setbacks are inevitable. What distinguishes those who succeed is their ability to use failure as a stepping stone to greater success. This mindset is fundamental to building grit. One of the central ideas explored in this chapter is the idea of deliberate practice. Athletes, especially those at the top of their game, spend hours honing their skills, focusing on areas where they can improve, and continually pushing their limits. This type of practice is not about simply going through the motions. It's about purposeful, concentrated effort aimed at improvement. The chapter explains that grit is developed when people not only commit to the process of practice, but also push themselves to be uncomfortable and face their weaknesses head-on. This chapter also dives into how grit is nurtured in young athletes and performers. It addresses how coaches, mentors, and even parents play a role in creating environments that foster resilience. A coach's belief in the athlete's potential, combined with their ability to push them through challenges, can help develop a sense of self-efficacy, a belief in their own ability to improve and succeed. The chapter stresses the importance of having a coach or mentor who instills the value of effort and grit, rather than relying on natural ability alone. The chapter makes a powerful point about the connection between grit and passion. People who succeed in competitive sports or other fields of intense competition are often those who have a deep passion for the sport or activity. This passion fuels their commitment to the long-term process of development and encourages them to persevere through the inevitable obstacles. When passion is combined with effort, the result is a powerful combination of grit that can sustain individuals through the toughest of challenges. Another insightful theme in this chapter is the idea of staying in the game. In many cases, talent can open the door, but grit is what keeps individuals engaged and working toward their goals. The chapter discusses how many promising athletes drop out of the competitive scene before they ever realize their full potential, not because they lack ability, but because they fail to commit to the long-term effort required. In contrast, those who stick with it, even when the road gets rough, are the ones who ultimately achieve greatness. It's this endurance, this ability to stay in the game, that is at the core of grit. The chapter also explores the idea that grit is not just about personal determination, but about teamwork and collective perseverance. In team sports, success depends not only on individual grit, but also on the grit of the entire team. Working together toward a common goal, motivating each other, and sharing the burden of success and failure can reinforce individual resilience and create a collective sense of purpose. This cooperative aspect of grit underscores that perseverance doesn't have to be a solitary journey. It can be fueled by the support of others who are equally committed to the goal. Ultimately, Chapter 11 illustrates that the playing fields of grit, whether in sports, music, or other challenging activities, serve as essential training grounds for developing resilience, passion, and perseverance. It's not just about winning or achieving, but about embracing the process, learning from failure, and continuing to push forward in pursuit of something meaningful. Through the lens of competition, grit is built, refined, and ultimately realized. The chapter drives home the idea that grit is not an innate trait, but a skill that can be developed over time, cultivated through sustained effort, and nurtured in environments that value perseverance. These playing fields aren't just for athletes. They are for anyone seeking to develop the kind of resilience and determination necessary to achieve their goals. Chapter 12, A Culture of Grit. In Chapter 12, the exploration of grit takes a broader societal turn, examining how a culture that values and nurtures grit can have a transformative impact on individuals and communities. The chapter suggests that while grit is often seen as a personal quality, it is equally shaped by the environment in which we live. The chapter encourages us to consider how we can create a culture, whether in schools, workplaces, or families, that encourages perseverance, hard work, and long-term commitment to goals. It emphasizes that grit is not just something we cultivate within ourselves, but something we can foster in the communities and environments we are part of. The chapter opens by highlighting how grit is not only an individual characteristic, but a collective one. Cultures that value grit tend to support and sustain the long-term effort required to achieve mastery, innovation, and success. These cultures instill in their members a sense of purpose, a belief in the power of effort, and a commitment to persevering even in the face of adversity. When a community embraces these values, it fosters an environment where individuals are motivated to persist and work through difficulties, knowing that their efforts are supported and appreciated. One of the central themes of this chapter is that a culture of grit is built on the belief that success comes not from raw talent, but from sustained effort. The chapter takes the example of various high-performing organizations, schools, and teams that have built such cultures. These are places where challenges are seen as opportunities for growth, failure is seen as a stepping stone to improvement, and individuals are encouraged to keep going even when progress seems slow. It's a culture that prizes persistence and long-term dedication, and that creates an environment where people feel inspired to push beyond their limits. The chapter goes on to highlight the importance of leadership in shaping such a culture. Leaders, whether in schools, businesses, or sports teams, have the power to shape attitudes towards effort and perseverance. When leaders demonstrate grit by showing up day after day, by embracing challenges, and by refusing to give up, they set the tone for everyone around them. They create a culture where failure is not something to fear, but something to learn from. This kind of leadership is essential in building a culture of grit because it sends a message that success is not just about achieving results, but about putting in the work, overcoming challenges, and continually improving. One of the powerful insights in this chapter is how organizations and cultures that embrace a growth mindset, where effort is seen as the path to improvement, tend to outperform those that place more value on natural talent. The chapter shares examples from education and the workplace, where people in growth-minded environments are more likely to persist through challenges and develop their skills over time. These environments create an atmosphere of collaboration and mutual support, where everyone is committed to the long-term process of development. In contrast, places that place undue emphasis on innate talent tend to foster unhealthy competition, fear of failure, and a reluctance to take on challenges. An important message in this chapter is the idea that culture influences our individual mindset and behavior. When we are part of a culture that encourages perseverance, hard work, and growth, we are more likely to internalize those values. The chapter discusses how individuals who grow up in cultures that emphasize grit are more likely to develop this quality themselves. This is especially true in schools and workplaces where effort is recognized and celebrated, and failure is viewed as a part of the learning process. These environments create a sense of belonging and purpose, which fuels motivation and resilience. The chapter also touches on the role of relationships in fostering a culture of grit. Strong relationships, built on trust and mutual respect, provide the support and encouragement needed to persevere through challenges. Teachers, mentors, colleagues, and friends who believe in our potential can help us build our own grit by offering guidance, feedback, and support when we face obstacles. The chapter argues that a culture of grit is not just about individual effort, but also about the collective strength that comes from the relationships we cultivate within our communities. As the chapter concludes, it reinforces the idea that grit is not an isolated trait, but one that can be nurtured within a culture that values long-term effort and perseverance. A culture that values grit creates an environment where individuals are encouraged to take risks, embrace challenges, and persist through setbacks. It builds a collective resilience that propels people toward success. By fostering this type of environment, we can help individuals and communities thrive, pushing through difficulties and ultimately achieving their fullest potential. Ultimately, Chapter 12 emphasizes that while grit is a personal journey, the culture in which we live can have a profound impact on how we develop and sustain this quality. By building and nurturing a culture of grit, whether at home, in the classroom, or in the workplace, we create an environment where perseverance becomes the norm and success is seen as a result of hard work and persistence. Chapter 13, Conclusion. As we reach the final chapter, the overarching message becomes crystal clear. Grit isn't just a quality some people are born with. It's something that can be cultivated, nurtured, and harnessed. This chapter serves as both a reflection and a call to action, urging us to embrace the power of perseverance and passion in our own lives. It's a powerful reminder that the journey to success isn't linear, and that real accomplishment comes not from innate talent, but from consistent effort over time. This conclusion ties everything together, urging readers to apply the principles of grit not only in their personal and professional lives, but also in their interactions with others, creating a ripple effect of resilience and perseverance. Throughout the book, the message has been clear. The most successful individuals are often those who refuse to give up, even when faced with adversity. In this final chapter, the author reaffirms that talent alone is not enough to drive long-term success. While talent may open doors, it is grit, defined as the combination of passion and perseverance, that sustains people through the difficult and often discouraging journey toward mastery. The concluding thoughts emphasize that grit is not a fixed trait. It's something we all have the ability to grow and develop through consistent effort and the right mindset. This realization is one of the most powerful takeaways from the entire book. In reflecting on the research, personal stories, and lessons learned, this chapter also invites readers to consider how their own lives could change if they consciously decided to embrace grit. The conclusion underscores that cultivating passion, embracing practice, and learning to persevere through failures are all within our control. These aren't traits reserved for a select few, but qualities that anyone can develop. The final chapter encourages a shift in perspective. By choosing to persist, individuals can achieve extraordinary things, even when the road is long and fraught with setbacks. One of the most striking insights in this last chapter is the idea that a gritty person is not someone who is immune to failure or hardship. Instead, it's someone who learns how to adapt, adjust, and keep going despite the inevitable obstacles. This is where the true power of grit lies, in the ability to face difficulty and emerge stronger. The conclusion drives home the point that failure is an essential part of the process. Rather than being discouraged by setbacks, gritty individuals use them as opportunities for growth, understanding that perseverance is often more important than perfection. Another key point made in this chapter is the idea that grit is contagious. It doesn't just affect the individual who possesses it, it spreads to those around them. Whether it's a teacher inspiring a student, a coach pushing an athlete, or a leader motivating a team, grit has the power to influence and elevate others. This creates a ripple effect where people within a supportive, gritty environment lift each other up and help one another persist through challenges. The chapter highlights the importance of fostering these types of environments, whether at home, at work, or in educational settings, where resilience and perseverance are valued over short-term success. As the final chapter unfolds, it becomes clear that the quest for grit is an ongoing journey. It's not a one-time decision, but a continuous commitment to growing, learning, and improving. The author suggests that while the process may be difficult at times, the rewards are worth the effort. Every person has the potential to develop their grit, and by doing so, they unlock the door to personal growth, achievement, and fulfillment. This chapter doesn't just sum up the book, it urges readers to take the knowledge gained and apply it in meaningful ways in their own lives. It's a call to stop waiting for the perfect moment or for circumstances to align and instead take action today to begin the journey of cultivating grit. The conclusion also revisits the idea that grit is not something that's easy to measure or track, but its impact is undeniable. People with grit are not always the fastest or the most naturally talented, but they are the ones who show up every day, who commit to their passion, and who continue to push forward despite setbacks. The final chapter encourages readers to measure success not in terms of how quickly or easily goals are achieved, but in terms of how much effort is invested and how much resilience is demonstrated. Ultimately, this chapter is a powerful reminder that the qualities that lead to success are within everyone's reach. It reinforces the idea that grit is not a trait reserved for the elite or the extraordinary, but a skill anyone can develop with the right mindset and commitment. As the final chapter of this journey, it wraps up the book's exploration of grit by offering both a sense of closure and an open invitation to take these principles into the world. The journey toward success, it seems, is not defined by natural talent, but by the determination to keep going, no matter the obstacles. Thanks for listening to Grit, the Power of Passion and Perseverance here on the Book Lounge. If this audiobook inspired you or gave you a fresh perspective, let's keep the conversation going. Drop a comment below, sharing what resonated with you the most, how you'll apply these insights, or even what surprised you. I'd also love to hear what books you'd like me to feature next. Don't forget to hit the like button if you found value here, and subscribe to join our growing community of book enthusiasts. There's always something powerful to discover. And before you go, be sure to check the description for your free one-page summary of this audiobook, a quick and easy resource to revisit the most impactful ideas. See you in the next chapter.